In a nutshell, 1851, there were two ladies doing their washing in the Bendigo Creek, which is where the car park is. They were sheep farmers' wives. The place wasn't Bendigo, it was nothing then, it was just a series of rolling hills. In the creek they started finding lumps of gold nuggets. And the legend is that they spent the afternoon filling their stockings, organised a trip to Castlemaine, which is about 30 kilometres down towards Melbourne, and they went shopping. Castlemaine had been set up, or discovered I suppose, 2 or 3 months previous, and it was already a thriving gold city. Them doing shopping, exchanging their gold nuggets for bits and pieces. Word got out. By the time they got back, 2 days later, there were 400 people camped alongside the creek panning gold nuggets. That was September 1851. By Christmas, there was 4,000 people. And about 6 months later, there were more people in Bendigo, or what became known as Bendigo, than what there were in Melbourne. And they considered moving the Parliament of Melbourne to Bendigo because there were more voters. Except there was no one to organise it, because anyone that was anyone was selling up and going to the guaranteed riches of Bendigo gold. 2 years moved on. They realised that there was so much gold around, it had to come from somewhere. So the nuggets did come out of the gold, out of the quartz reefs, released by erosion, ended up in the river. So the quartz reefs that were visible from the surface, they just simply followed from underground, taking the gold as they went. It's hard rock mining. You can't just pick and shovel it, you've got to use explosives. So one man would turn this thing called a tap, while the other one hit it with a sledgehammer, grinding the rock away to make a hole for explosives, about 1 metre deep. Taking them about 6 hours. They got very good at swinging a hammer. Full-size sledgehammer, in the dark by the light of a candle. Or someone held on to it and turned it. Oh, we've got the hammer. Oh, we've got the hammer. They swapped jobs, mind you, so they got pretty good at doing that, I reckon. So after about 1 metre, 6 hours worth, you can't just fill that hole up with explosives. It was nitroglycerin mixed with gunpowder. Whatever you poked in that hole would shoot out like a cannon. So you needed a pattern of holes, maybe 10 holes. So you're looking at a week's work before you can knock out a metre of rock. But it was a very rich metre of rock. Fast forward about 20 years, this thing was invented in Bendigo. It's called a Bendigo stroker. Compressed air, operator pulls the handle out, compressed air goes into here. Do that, it's displaced onto the back of this piston and it's fired out into the wall with about 10 times the force of the sledgehammer. Still needed a bloke on the front to turn it, because it's only a big chisel after all. If they were going through quartz is made of silica. Silica is what you make glass out of, so they're making glass stuff. 5 to 10 years later, they're pretty well coughing themselves to death. This got the nickname of a widowmaker around the world. It was a great machine as far as digging holes in rock because it was doing it 10 times faster than the blokes on the hammer, but it was killing our miners. So lots of ladies walking around the goldfields looking for a bloke. Machine bar is mounted on, fairly standard, so they adapted the same idea on the machine bar. In 1911, this thing called a drifter was invented in America. Actually patented by the singer, the guy that invented the sewing machine needle. You know, where the thread goes into the wrong end of the needle. And he had the same idea with this mining idea. If I turn that on, if you have a look at the wall, water comes out the end of the needle, or the end of the drill steel. Going through the machine, through the hollow tube, comes right out at the point where it's needed, not to kill the dust, but to keep the tungsten bit cool. So it's now a rotating drill bit that's water cooled and as a side effect stops the dust. Most of the work in the central Deborah was done with the aid of one of these. Primarily used for drilling holes in the rock to fill up with explosives, but also to drill little weakening holes and they could hammer it out the way as well. Chipping, making footholds and stuff like that. Now I'm going to start this up. It's fairly noisy as you can imagine, so I'm going to put earmuffs on. If you can just put your elbows in your ears, that'd be wonderful. And do you know that you can't actually lick your elbow? And having heard that, most kids will try. So here we go. Air on, all up and go.
What was it pushing out the top? Was that dust or?
Out of here?
Yeah.
Water vapour. There's a thing called a turtle, which is this thing right in front of you. That's in the airline, that picks up a smear of oil. The oil goes through the machine with the air as well as the water. Horses. Once upon a time, the horses in coal mines in England and tin mines in Cornwall, they used to use what they call pit ponies. They actually bred underground, they lived underground, they died underground, and then they ate them usually. We didn't have such a thing in Bendigo, we were too nice. What we used to do down here, instead of having machinery and or kids and or slaves and or horses, 2 men used to do all the work on their own. So no machinery, they looked after their horses, they loved them. That's horses. What's your name? Alison. Hi, Alison. That's not your handle-woman, mine too. Now, Alison just volunteered to be my assistant in a minute, so you can stand there looking beautifully and intelligent like some of the century here. The drills we used primarily for drilling the holes for the explosives. Big hole in the middle of the wall, it's called a post hole, and there's 23 holes drilled around it. Alison can do this for me, but wow, I can't believe it. So you're when I talk to you, do this. So what they used to use for each of those holes was 3 sticks of gelignite and the old fizzy fuse. Nowadays we've got this stuff known as power gel. Power gel is your plastic explosive. Stick that down the bottom of the hole, one non-electric detonator as it's called, and into a bunch of the 23 there. The rest of the holes are filled up with this stuff called ANFO. ANFO is ammonium nitrate, which is fertiliser and diesel fuel. You mix that into a very loose paste, and you've got a bomb 3 times stronger than gelignite. And that's why they say don't try this at home. What you do need is a detonator. So we've now got these 23 percussion detonators hanging out. One electric detonator is tied into that. Get the wires go off to the exploder somewhere, and they go boom. You're about to find out how it goes boom. Now you've all had good practice of turning your lights out, so I'll turn mine on. If everyone can turn their lights out, it'll go dark, but don't move. One says danger. Okay. Just up from there. I'll go get out of the way. Alright, press the one that says press.
See? That's it.
Do that again.
Was that good?
Sorry, what?
I think I got it now.
Can't hear you. What? You're like, Okay. Like I say, the rest is history. The place closed down in November 1954, and that was the end of it. They left the gold behind. Bendigo Mining are working directly below us now, 1,000 odd metres down. They're employing about 130 people, working 2 shifts, and about 8,000 ounces of gold, I think in the last quarter, from memory. 8,000 ounces is around about $15 million, so that's not bad for the turnover. It's costing them $1,000 an ounce to get it out. So as long as the Aussie dollar is relatively low and the price of gold is relatively high, they'll make it. Well, who's going to drive the lift up? Come on, it'll have to be you. I can't reach cuddle this bloke and drive it, so figure it out.
Come on, up button. Come on, man, you can do it. Careful, there's a one.
Push the button. That's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, good work. Takes a little bit of thinking about. Yeah. Now, this gentleman's my model. If you can look over here, please. Give you a slight bit of a wiggle. Lift it off your head, hang it over your shoulder, and there's a clip on the back of your hat. The person behind you might want to unflip it for you. Is it a video or is it a camera?
It's both.
No. You're still going to face it. If you walk around to your right, please hang your hats up on the wall. I'll take the belts off when we go onto the rubber mat.